Welcome back to Propology. Today we will be talking about the Empire Strikes Back Hoth DL-44. Now, a lot of people refer to this as the Han Solo Empire Strikes Back DL-44, but technically it's not really. Luke also carried this blaster, but he only carried it on Hoth. Han only carried it on Hoth, and it was only carried in the scenes filmed in Norway. Now, Norway might have a clue to why these blasters are built on the Model Gun Corporation and not on a real Mauser. Anytime you go and film in another country, you have to get permits, filming permits, all kinds of other things you got to do, lawyers and this and that. And adding one more layer of complexity by bringing in live firearms probably is not a good idea, so just bring in replica-based blasters, and that's what we have here. These are based on the Model Gun Corporation Mauser. Now, for a quick note, there's multiple ways. If you study Mausers and you study the Model Gun Corporation, you'll know by hammer shape, rings on the hammer. There's all kinds of little telltales that'll tell you. But one of the very simplest ones, and the one I use the most, is there is usually a little dot on the left and the right-hand side of the trigger. That's easily, unless someone's got their finger on the trigger, you can almost always find this dot on these blasters and to tell whether it's a real Mauser-based or if it is a Model Gun Corporation-based. All the Hoth DL-44s, everything we've found, for the Norway shooting, you can always find that dot on them. So they were all Model Gun Corporation, which makes sense. Moving down to the scope. Now the scope is what's known as a M19. It's part of a telescopic sight for a Sherman tank and anti-tank guns from World War II. The scope is only part of the optics used on the Sherman tank, but that's the scope that makes up the scope for this blaster and, of course, all the other DL-44s from Empire Strikes Back. The scope mount is totally custom. It's just made out of a piece of 1/8" thick angled aluminum, which is a fairly common material to get a hold of. It's a fairly simple process to make these, and these are definitely custom-made scope mounts. Now, scope mount also is sitting on top on the Hoth DL-44. It sits on top of a fairly thick copper spacer, and then sitting on the front side of it, I'm not sure if this is how this is all mounted together, but this little disc shaped, it looks like it might be made of brass and aluminum or steel, and it's held down by 3 screws. Now, we don't know if these screws go all the way through to the body of the blaster, but that might be how it's all held together by these 3 screws. I'm not sure. We've never seen one taken apart to verify that. Moving on to the flash suppressor. Now, on the Empire Strikes Back Hoth DL-44s, the flash suppressor, it might be made out of aluminum, but I don't know if it really is made out of aluminum. One thing is for sure, it's custom made for this blaster. And if you look in the photos, you'll notice that the knurling is drawn on, and that makes me think that it may have been made out of another material besides aluminum. One possible source would be a toolable resin that can be tooled, cast into a shape and then tooled, or a material called Delrin. Delrin is a material it's a plastic material. It's been around forever. It has tons of industrial and commercial uses. It's still being used extensively today for plastic gears and all kinds of different stuff. It's also used for prototyping. Therefore, you can get it in just square shapes, rectangle shapes. You can get it in all different types of shapes. And it's a toolable material, means it can be chucked up in a lathe or chucked up in a mill and have the tools work it. And it has been known to be used in the special effects industry. And it comes in black. So if you want aluminum paint something or silver paint something, a black base is perfect. It gets you a great finish. Also, moving to Greeblies. On the left side of the blaster, we've got 2 piston halves, part number 67 and 68 from the Revell engine kit. And if you actually notice in the photographs that the paint is chipping off of it and exposing the gray or silver paint of the Revell engine kit below. Also, it's held on with 2 Phillips head screws. Moving to the back of the left-hand side, you'll find the motor coil cover plate, and that is part number 98 from the Revell engine kit. Now, this part is also the one of the pieces that is discontinued from the model Revell engine kit. And then moving to the two Greeblies in the middle, those are actually also the motor coil. They've been cut and sanded and shaped into these two little Greeblies here. And that is a quick rundown of all the parts and bits of the Empire Strikes Back DL-44. Join us next time when we go over another DL-44 from Empire Strikes Back.